they incentivize so that we can have many investors in this sector. Mr. Speaker, over 50% of the income of the raw earning or those who are at the bottom of the pyramid, they spend their income on transport. And that is huge compared to the other 50% will be spent on rent and also food. So it's a huge amount of money which goes to transport from those who are at the bottom of the pyramid, Mr. Speaker. And for that cost to come down, Mr. Speaker, will require proper reorganization of this sector so that more investment can be made in the transport sector, and we can also see the border borders and tax drivers are not also making losses when they are doing their day-to-day business. Everyone must be able to survive. Everyone must be able to provide for his family or our family, Mr. Speaker. I think this petition is very timely, but it also calls upon the Minister of Infrastructure and Transport to put more time into looking into organizing and seeing how we can have more investors, reorganizing this sector for everyone who is in that sector to go home happy, making some money, and at the same time, reducing the cost of those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
KJ, as KJ comes, I want to acknowledge that 3 of the representatives of the petitioners are in the speaker's gallery. You can see them dressed in reflectors. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. And there is no place where the border business has rubber-stamped its influence like in the cities.
Take 2 minutes.
If you come to Nairobi City, you realize how important the people who are represented by the 3 gentlemen in the gallery are. Mr. Speaker, this petition gives us opportunity for 3 things. 1, organizing this sector into something that enables us to professionalize it. After professionalizing it, Mr. Speaker, we now start moving towards what we were promising when we were on top of cars and in rallies, saying that hii serikali ni ya mtu ya boda boda. In organizing, when we are making plans going forward, you realize that even our roads do not provide for the safety of the riders because we have constructed roads for motor vehicles without recognition that there is other motorized traffic that is two-wheeled. But finally, Mr. Speaker, there is the issue of technology. But technology must be approached carefully. When we talk about hailing applications, we've got to ask ourselves, how is the share of the proceeds done between the owner who is the proprietor of the technology and the person who has spent the money buying the boda, the person who is riding it, to the extent that we are realizing that if we move in technology that we do not own, we might end up enslaving our people with new technology that we're importing in a drive towards globalization, where we have companies that are not only just masking us with the idea that they are bringing in capital, but the real thing that they are doing is perpetuating an extractive economy, so that everything that we saw during the time of the slave trade, what we saw in colonization, can be perpetuated using technology that we import that we do not own. Let us develop our own technology to enable these people to have a hailing technology that is homegrown, so that all the proceeds 100% can remain in the country, Kenya. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also rise to support and to say that I think the Greater North is one of those serious constituencies that has taken into a 24-hour job creation, and mostly the boda. We now even have the electric bodas and Uber. And Mr. Speaker, I know the challenges we face, especially with the police force. And I'm hoping that this petition will come in, not just to look at the digital boda riders, but also to look at the whole sector of boda. That I want to see now us moving and ensuring Every boda has a QR code. We have young people who have IDs who are, because it's a serious business, Mr. Speaker. Today, as I speak, I have very many young people who have refused to go to school also, who are just on these bodas, and I'm hoping even as the new police boss comes in, that this is one sector he's going to just create good jobs for our people, because we have people who are taking school, their children to school through this sector. So I want to read.
Mr. Speaker, it is one of the, boda actually is one of the means of transport that has really helped our country. Since the introduction, transportation has been so easy, and also it has created some network in our poor roads, and it has helped even through, by assisting, especially those who are less fortunate in the society. Last Saturday, Mr. Speaker, I launched in Kipkelion East Boda Circle. And this one, Mr. Speaker, I think is going to help, especially when we go back to our model, the bottom-up economy. It is going to help, especially those who are in this business, Mr. Speaker. I want to say that also, by actually regulating is going to help us a great deal, especially to protect those who are using boda as a means of earning their day-to-day income, and also as a means of transportation. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the committee should be able to fast-track and make sure that this thing is sorted out, and so that we can be able to help and assist those who are actually depending in this sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I support the petition. Thank you.
GK.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is true that this digital Boda and Drivers Association of Kenya members are facing a myriad of challenges, and the main issue here, Honorable Speaker, is that the platforms that hold this association are quite extractive and parasitic, and these guys work very hard to earn a living like all of us, and should be supported in all ways. Honorable Speaker, as the chair of the Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, we will engage all the stakeholders and avail the necessary registration and support. Honorable Speaker, we will meet this association and other concerned stakeholders and see how we can better this sector. Honorable Speaker, I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, GK. Mukunji, you have come late. You're standing up before I even call your name. I'll give you 1 minute. The House starts at 2:30.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm sorry, because I was handling other businesses that involved my constituents. But Honorable Speaker, let me say that I met this gentleman outside in Parliament here. And Honorable Speaker, one of the things I recognized is how disciplined they were while they were bringing their petition in this assembly. And considering our experience with Maandamano, Honorable Speaker, I really commend the young people who are over 1,000 outside here bringing a petition led by their chairman. And Honorable Speaker, they have raised very pertinent issues, among them the issue of how we are treating our digital labor, which, Honorable Speaker, is something that this National Assembly must deal critically to ensure that digital labor is entrenched in our labor laws and they can be able to rely and go to court when they are suppressed. Honorable Speaker, the young gentlemen who I met here have suffered a lot, even from our county governments, because, Honorable Speaker, they are not recognized as boda riders who have spots in this county, Honorable Speaker. There's a need for even county governments to actually ensure that they're able to transact their businesses, ensure that they are not harassed when they come to the city center, and they are able to move and move freely, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
1 minute must be over, clerk. I gave you 1 minute.
Let me just add a point, Honorable Speaker, okay. Then I sit down. Yes. I would like to call the committee to really check on the fairness of their pay, on how they are able to bring their issues in terms of dispute resolution, because currently the dispute resolution is one-sided, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to solving their problems. The pricing mechanism of what they do is not well defined. So they are actually harassed when they bring issues. The issues of their pension, because these are workers, issues of their health insurance must be well looked at, Honorable Speaker, while the committee is sitting to actually look at this petition. And I call upon also the holders of this digital.
Your time is up. Your time is up. You are at liberty to appear before the committee and present those notes that you are reading so that they can be able to use them as well. Chairman of Transport, I deliberately sidestepped the Committee on Public Petitions to give you this petition so that you can take the opportunity to deal with the chaotic situation in our public transport sector. I expect you to bring a report within 60 days. If earlier, the better.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, in the afternoon sitting. 1. End of term report for financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, 2021-2022, 2022-2023, 2023-2024 from the Salaries and Remunerations Commission. 2. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission's second quarterly report for the year 2024, covering the period from 1st April 2024 to 30th June 2024 from the Office of the Auditor General. 3rd, the 54th Monetary Policy Statement from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. And 4, financial statements for the Pest Control Products Board, PCPB, for the year ended 30th June 2023 from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay.
Vice Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Labor.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 18 September 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Labor on its consideration of the Senate's amendment to the Public Service in Quote Value and Principles Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2022. Thank you.
You finished? Member of Delegation in the Parliamentary Union. Is that what he has done? Next order. KJ. KJ, are you supposed to table anything? You've forgotten?
Honorable Speaker, I thank you for your indulgence and the prompting. I do appreciate that. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, which is Wednesday, 18 September 2024. And what I'm seeking to lay, Mr. Speaker, is a report of the 148th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and the related meetings held in Geneva, Switzerland from 23rd to 27th of March 2024. Mr. Speaker, for information, the Interparliamentary Union is a parliament that brings together 186 parliaments. It is also known as the Parliament of Parliaments, and the Kenyan delegation did attend the said meeting, and it is that paper that I do beg to lay this afternoon on the floor of the House. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable KJ and those who lay papers, it cannot be an excuse for making a speech. You just lay the paper on the table and we end there. If it will have an opportunity to be debated, then you can say what you are saying. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Kiarie.
Mr. Speaker, I do wish to give a notice of motion.
To give notice is not a wish.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion.
Very good.
That this House notes the report of the 148th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and the related meetings held in Geneva, Switzerland from the 23rd to the 27th of March, which I now lay on the table of the House this afternoon, Wednesday, 18th September 2024. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, KJ. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Geoffrey Ruku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A request for a statement regarding the status of compensation of public servants who died from COVID-19 disease. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the status of payment of the last expense and death gratuity to survivors of beneficiaries of the National Health Insurance Fund and the Public Service Superannuation Scheme. Honorable Speaker, Article 43 of the Constitution entitles every person to the right to social security, which include indemnity and compensation to beneficiaries under the scheme in the occurrence of misfortune. It is in furtherance to this constitutional principle that the National Health Insurance Fund and the Public Service Superannuation Scheme offers last expense and death gratuity to survivors of the beneficiaries of the respective scheme. Regrettably, the family of the late Moses Muturi Ndwiga, PF number 20090000918, who succumbed to COVID-19 while serving in Nyeri County as the acting director under the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing, and Urban Development, is yet to receive the last expense and death benefits. This disturbing case is among an estimated 800 beneficiaries under the National Health Last Expense Scheme and 400 entitled to gratuity under the Public Service Superannuation Scheme, particularly those who died between 2019 and 2021, hence deserving urgent intervention. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health to place the House on the following. 1, a report on the number of beneficiaries enrolled for the last expense under the National Health Insurance Fund, under the death gratuity, under the Public Service Superannuation Scheme, payouts made so far as compensation or pension and pending claims. 2, reasons why the NHIF and the Public Service Superannuation Scheme have not compensated the families and beneficiaries who died were covered by the two schemes. 3, strategies and timelines that the ministry intends to implement to ensure immediate remittance of the last expense and death gratuity to beneficiaries, particularly the family of the late Moses Muturi Dwega, PF number 2009000918, who worked at the State Department for Housing in Nyeri County. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson, Health Committee. Where is Dr. Bukose? Any member of the Committee of Health? Can you, Madenge, advise your chairman that you bring a response in 2 weeks? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Kieni, you requested to say something about the Endarasha tragedy. Remember yesterday I gave a statement to the House and we had a moment of silence in honor of our departed children. So I'll give you 2 minutes as the area member of parliament to eulogize and empathize with the families.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Coming late after others and the whole parliament gave a moment of silence. But I won't want to say that it was a very tragic moment for us in Kieni, where we lost 21 students, 19 in the fire inferno, 2 in hospital, and still 3 are hospitalized in various hospitals in this country. Mr. Speaker, when we say this, we want to appreciate and thank those people who came on time to give their condolences, to give us their best wishes for the departed ones, inclusive the one and the only one, the head of state of this country, His Excellency, the Deputy President, the Speaker, inclusive the Speaker, and there's so many CSs and PSs who came on time to give their condolences. In this time, I want to also appreciate that the government presence in the whole of this tragedy was really notable. They came on time, and we all thank the many other people who gave their condolences in the country and beyond and other countries of the world. Mr. Speaker, I cannot only talk about the 21 who died in Kieni, forgetting the 6 who lost their lives in Kibwezi. And we say this is a very bad moment for this country, where we have lost more than 30 students in various places in accident, both fire and load accidents. And on this one, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and also to tell the community in Endarasha, and particularly the director of Hillside Academy, who have always been giving us the best in education. It was the home of 824 students, and it has always performed very well in our local and national examinations. And for this one, we are calling upon the government to give any possible assistance, because a school that is housing that population of students is one that needs to be helped to raise up, and more so because we have students also who are going to sit for the KPSEA examinations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Cheney, and we gave our collective condolences yesterday. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the following institutions in the public gallery: Our Lady of Lourdes Girls High School, Kieni, Nyeri; Ikatini Secondary School from Masinga, Machakos; Kagonge Boys High School from Runyenjes, Embu; Inoro Girls Secondary School from Laikipia East, Laikipia; Chebwai SDS School from Malava, Kakamega. I have been requested by Honorable Mwalio from Masinga to acknowledge, you can acknowledge your school and all other schools on behalf of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all the students and the teachers who have been able to visit Parliament and watch and learn the proceedings of this House. I want to tell you that you are most welcome. And particularly, I want to welcome my school, Ekatini Secondary School, which is one of my best schools in the constituency and has benefited a lot from the NGCDF projects. So I would like you to watch and see how business is conducted in this House so that you learn as in future you are the leaders, you might be able to even to find yourself in this House in the future. So you are most welcome to see how we debate and how we tackle things in an orderly manner. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. God bless you.
Thank you. On behalf of the House of Parliament and my own behalf, I welcome all those schools to the House of Parliament. John Carrier.
Speaker, this would be of interest to all the members in the House today, and I do stand to give a statement regarding the extension of the application period for the recruitment of ICT interns under the Presidential Digital Talent Program. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44, bracket D, I wish to inform the House of the recruitment of interns under the Presidential Digital Talent Program, the PDTP Cohort 9. Honorable Speaker, the ICT Authority is in the process of recruiting 400 ICT interns to Cohort 9 of the Presidential Digital Talent Program, the PDTP, under the Ministry of Information, Communication, and the Digital Economy. The Presidential Digital Talent Program was launched in 2015 as a public-private partnership program to actualize the government's commitment to the leverage of ICT to enhance citizen service delivery. The key components of the program are skills development, on-job coaching, mentorship, training, certification, and ICT innovations. Interns recruited to the program undertake a 12-month internship program whose objective is to develop ICT high-end skills in recent graduates, offer a platform for structured training, coaching, mentoring, and promote ICT innovation and solutions development. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the ICT Authority opened the online recruitment portal of Cohort 9 ICT interns on the 27th. And Mr. Speaker, kindly, I can't even hear myself. There's some very high consultation. I'm having
members who are consulting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your protection. Honorable Speaker, the ICT Authority opened the online recruitment portal of Cohort 9 ICT interns on the 27th of August 2024 and set to, tomorrow, Thursday 16th September 2024, as the deadline for submission of applications. In appreciation of the need to net as many budding tech-savvy youth as possible from across the constituencies, the committee, our Committee of Communication, Information and Innovation, approached the ministry to extend the deadline from the initial deadline that was Monday, yesterday. And I'm delighted to inform this House that the ministry, through the ICT Authority, acceded to our request and has extended the period for applications to Cohort 9 Presidential Digital Talent Program to Monday, 23rd September 2024, and I therefore urge all members of Parliament to circulate the information to their respective constituents and encourage the qualified candidates to take advantage of the extension period to apply so that they can join this most amazing program of the Presidential Digital Talent Program, PDTP. Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and I signed this on the 16th of September, 2024. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, KJ. And next order.
Order number 8, special motion, consideration of a nominee for appointment as the Inspector General of the National Police Service. Resumption of debate.
Honorable members, I'll give you direction as follows on this motion. I watched and listened to the morning debate. There was not a single dissenting voice. I want to allocate this motion 30 minutes before we call in the Minister for Education. Those I'll give an opportunity to speak will be allocated 2 minutes, and after 25 minutes, I'll call the mover to reply, then we put the question. Is that okay with the House? Right. Kiunjuri?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I really want to join other members who spoke in the morning and support the nomination of the Inspector General nominee, Douglas Kalanja, whom all of us have described as a man of integrity. The speakers who spoke before me gave the history of this man as one who have risen through the ranks. I want to give my own testimony because I've interacted with him on several occasions, and especially when the insecurity was at its rise in Laikipia County. I also have known him for the last 15 years. I want to testify that he's a man who is gracious enough to even allow a conversation, give advice as an elderly citizen of the Republic of Kenya. He would be able to put aside issues now of being a professional officer and also give advice on how we can secure this country without really raising temperatures, without dividing our people, because I come from a constituency, a county, where it is really cosmopolitan. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the nominee that we are discussing today, he's known not to be antagonistic. He's not antagonistic, Mr. Speaker. He's a calm, disciplined officer who, even if he interacts with other officers in all lands, they will tell you that he has a listening ear, which is really one of the attributes of a leader, and is also essential for a person who is going to take over as the next Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, I would like to encourage other members that for the first time, we have seen all of us coming up unanimously, the same way we came up, discussed the professionalism of the Attorney General, where we are agreeing that it's not where you come from, but being a Kenyan and merit is supposed to be the first thing that we consider. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Mburi.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support this committee's report. And I note that this position requires a very sober individual who's qualified, experienced, and understands the rule of law and democracy. In fact, one of the things I think they need to understand is the independence and interdependence of the three arms of government. The legislature, which makes the laws, the judiciary, which interprets the law, and then the executive, which enforces the laws through the police. Mr. Speaker, as this new Inspector General takes up office, I want to advise that he make sure that he respects the rule of law, respect the judiciary, make sure that if there are any court summons, you respect them. Because if in that office you don't respect the courts, then Kenyans may also start disrespecting the courts. And when that happens, that becomes anarchy. The second issue, Mr. Speaker, is that the new Inspector General must also respect other arms of government. For example, Parliament. We have seen in the past where inspector generals arbitrarily withdraw security of members of parliament. We've seen recently one withdrew the security of a judicial officer, not understanding that the nature of the job that we do requires for us to have that security because it is also sensitive. And finally, make sure that this thing of gangland abductions and killings of Kenyans stops once and for all, because this has been a story we have sung, a song we have sung for a long time. We have had inspector generals come and go, and we still continue killing our Kenyans. As we are talking now here, there are still Kenyans that are missing, Mr. Speaker. It is important that when he takes up office, he gets to the bottom of what is happening to those Kenyans that are lost since that time when our youth came out to demonstrate and ask for better governance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bure Aburi.
Asante Bwana Spika kunipa nafasi hii. Yangu ni kusupport committee ambaye iliyotekeleza haya mambo kwa sababu Mr. Kanja ni mtu tunamuelewa sisi wa Kenya. Mr. Kanja ukiangalia wakati alikuwa kwa GSU, yeye mwenyewe ndiye alikuwa anazuia upande wa Meru, Tigania West, Egembe Central, Egembe North wakati wa vita ya ng'ombe. Na yeye ni mtu ambaye ukimpigia simu wakati wowote hata kama na namba yako hanachukua. Langu ni moja pekee yake, ni kusema kwamba katika kitengo wa polisi watu wengi wa polisi wengi wanahangaika. Ukiingia wazizi kwa nyumba ya polisi, ukiingia wazizi kwa nyumba ya polisi, wawili wanasia nyumba moja na ni room moja na wako na familia. Na hiyo eti ya kwamba Kanja tukimweka akiwa ndani wazizi, akiingia pale Kanja ataweza kuinua polisi. Ingine ni hii. Kule kwetu nyumbani ama kwa hawa nyumba unaona hapa hivi. Nyumbani kule kuna muzaa ya kutosha na pombe ya kutosha. Pale polisi wale walioko pale wazizi wakisika pombe hawapeleki polisi, hawapeleki kotini. Ile inabaki pale police station na wale ambaye amesikwa eti ya kwamba yeye mwenyewe apeleke mahali popote. Ndipo tutasema kwamba Kanja akipata hii ya kwamba atatimisha ile wajibu. Ingine hii. Kanja tutasema kwamba sio mtu wa Mount Kenya. Kanja ni Mkenya, Kanja ni Mjaluo, Kanja ni Mluya, Kanja ni Mkamba, Kanja ni Mmeru. Ya kwamba sio kusema kwamba tukimpa Kanja atakuwa akisema mambo mlima. Hakuna mambo mlima kwa Kanja. Kanja atakuwa ni Mkenya mzalendo ambaye anapenda kila mtu. Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi.
Madenge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to add my voice to the support of Douglas Kaja's appointment as the Inspector General of Police. Douglas Kaja comes as a very, very experienced Kenyan in this position. Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice to the expectations that Kenyans have on the nominee for the position of Inspector General. The number one, President William RUTO, in his wisdom, gave the Inspector General of Police functional autonomy and also financial autonomy. We expect that the welfare of our policemen will be at the forefront of Mr. Kaja's initiatives in reforming the police into a police service. Mr. Speaker, more importantly, is that this House has played its role in ensuring that it is the House that has the final say on the appointment of the nominee, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the claim by certain quarters that they are the people pushing Douglas Kaja's appointment must be put to rest by the House, Mr. Speaker. I wish Mr. Kaja well as he's cleared by, even when he's cleared by this House, but he must know that we have a lot of expectation on him to really meet the desires and the wishes of Kenyans in as far as the police service is concerned. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Lagdera. Member for Lagdera, Abdikadir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I rise to support the nomination of Mr. Kanja to be the IG of National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, I have interacted with Mr. Kanja several times on security issues in the constituency, and he has been very responsive. This is a gentleman who will call at 10 p.m. and he will pick your call, and he will listen to you, and he will help you in case of any problems. And if you want to know him, you will look at his wealth declarations. He's a modest man, somebody who has gone through the ranks from police constable to IG, and now what he is declaring, just modest. For another person, for another Kenyan, I think that person will have been a billionaire now. He declared for 6 million as his wealth. That itself tells you Mr. Kanja is a man of integrity. Therefore, I think the nomination of Mr. Kanja is very important, because for now, I think we'll have somebody with integrity, with experience, with somebody who has gone through ranks of police to up the top, and somebody who understands the challenges of each and every cadre of the police service. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Naisula.
Speaker, I also do rise to support the appointment of the nominee, Mr. Kanja, for the position of the Inspector General of Police. And I speak as someone who has worked closely with him when he was in charge of GSU, Mr. Speaker, and he's the one who introduced the National Police Reservists in the North Rift, Mr. Speaker. I remember when we had issues in Samburu West constituency, Mr. Speaker, he got out of the office. We went round with him to the field. He saw the challenges that we were going through, Mr. Speaker, and he's the one who then recruited and ensured that NPRs were brought into place, Mr. Speaker. We need an Inspector General, Mr. Speaker, who will get out of those air-conditioned offices and go to the ground and go and see what is going on. And I can attest that Mr. Kanja is one such gentleman who listens to issues raised by members of parliament from experience, and I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to deliver. And we need to ensure that we pass him very quickly, so that the acting IG can be relieved of his services, because we're not very happy with what he's doing in the country, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Member for Tetu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. First of all is to thank the committee for a job well done, the joint sitting of the Committee of Parliament, of the National Assembly and the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the appointment of Douglas Kanja as the Inspector General of Police, and to say that Mr. Kanja is a seasoned professional who has grown through the ranks. So we expect him to be accepted very well within the police force, unless, unlike in the past, where we may have appointed outsiders to that position. Mr. Kanja, I know him very well, and he's a man with very good temperament, and who will become a very good unifying factor, within the police force or within the police service. Mr. Speaker, the job of the IG is a tough job, and I hope that he can be able to see through the police reforms that we have been talking about for a very long time. We have a lot of work in fighting corruption within the police force, improving the welfare of officers, ensuring a fair promotion policy, stopping any extrajudicial actions by police officers. It's a tough job, Mr. Speaker, and we wish him well, and he has our full support if approved by this House. Thank you.
Karole Omondi, are you keyed in for this? If you spoke in the morning, then get yourself off the radar. Yes, get yourself off the radar. Honorable Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I want to join my colleagues in giving compliments and support to the nominee for IG. The IG has come through the ranks out of merit. He has all the aptitude, the skills, and the qualifications so required for the duty he is supposed to take over. He is a very humble officer, one who has good listenership, The few moments I've had with him were quite interesting. He was able to listen to me and take me through what should be done. He has helped me in several occasions, having come from an insecurity-prone area. The IG is one person who has outstandingly performed in the last days of the Gen Z demonstrations. So I would, in a nutshell, accept in the approval of the IG, Mr. Douglas, for this job. I'm sure he will be one of the best IGs to hold that office. I so support. Thank you.
Hillary.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join all the members who have spoken before me to support the report, the joint report of the Senate and the National Assembly under the able leadership of our chair, the Honorable Gabriel Tongoyo. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said about Mr. Douglas Kanja, and everything that has been attested by members is true. But Mr. Speaker, while we praise and demand of Kanja to do reforms in the police service, to take care of his juniors, Mr. Speaker, it is in the honors of this House to make sure that we also avail resources to enable his office to achieve with a budget of over 115 billion and 85% of that budget going to personnel and emoluments, Mr. Speaker, and leaving 15% only for operations, the police will not achieve any meaningful thing, Mr. Speaker. And I'm calling on this House, when the new IG brings requests to improve performance in the National Police Service, let us generously add resources to him so that as we demand services, we also facilitate services by allocating resources, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Martin Owino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the committee led by Togoyo. Mr. Speaker, it appears the gentleman is a man of integrity, according to the report and the eyes of the committee, and we support that. There are only two things, Mr. Speaker, that I would like the gentleman to look into when he takes the office. Number one, the idea of restoring the image of the police service so that they can gain trust from the public and allow people to present information so that crime can be detected early and managed. That is missing because the acrimony between the police and the people right now. Second, the issue of orders from above. Release the police to do what they have been trained, not what they are told to do. Mr. Speaker, we realized this when we were on the streets, when somebody just say, what are you doing with those MPs? Tear gas them. Very wrong. Lastly, the issue of transferring police force to police service is just a statement. We would like this gentleman to transfer this from that status to community policing service. If that is done, people will restore the confidence which they have lost in the police force, so to say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mutunga.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to this. Honourable Speaker, I commend the committee for a good job done in the inquiry and proposals they have made. So I urge this House to consider approving the appointment of Mr. Kanja as the IG of Kenya. Honourable Speaker, Mr. Kanja has what it takes. He has long-standing experience. He has requisite education that is needed. He has the professional capacity to do the work. He is also marked levels of maturity. We need a mature person in the police force, and he is a man of God. Honourable Speaker, I attended Mr. Kanja's...
Honourable Angela, what's your point of order? Mutunga, take your seat. Give him the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I want to bring attention of the chair to page 21.
Which chair?
The Speaker, sorry, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry. On page 21, number 45, about the nominee's background. I'm seeing, Mr. Speaker,
Wanjala, what is our
nominee, sorry?
Are you debating or you have a point?
I'm not debating, I'm bringing to your attention to make a ruling, Mr. Speaker, whether we are properly debating the right person to be appointed as IG. Because this person was born on 22nd September 1963. And 1963, this is 2024 September, he's already 61. All government officers retire at the age of 60. So are we going to appoint somebody who is not even in the system, who has already retired? Is it in order for the House to debate something that is out, somebody who has already retired?
Honorable Speaker, Mr. Kanja is being appointed on contraction basis, and I think the member is out of order. Honorable Speaker, I need to draw caution, Honorable Speaker, that this... Honorable Speaker, that is my opinion, and I'm entitled to an opinion. Honorable Speaker, I believe I'm on the floor and I'm entitled to an opinion. I have not ruled, I've said in my opinion.
Honorable Wanjala, take your seat. You've made your point. Take your seat.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to just draw caution to Mr. Kanja. Honorable Speaker, Kenyan police is not one of the most respected. I know, Honorable Speaker, all of us have traveled in this house. And whenever you go to an airport and you're not sure of what to do or where to go, the first people you respect and expect to give you genuine guidance are the police. And that is why we're asking Mr. Kanja to bring the Kenyan police to that particular level of respect. Honorable Speaker, I would also ask that we refrain from aligning our police force. Honorable Speaker, our policemen are also Kenyans and workers in this particular country, and we need to support them to do their job. Honorable Speaker, I would also like Honorable Kanja to train the police to be credible in whatever they do so that they can be respected people. I would like to, Honorable Speaker, to appeal to this House to consider Honorable Kanja for the appointment. I thank you.
Honorable Wanjala. Honorable Wanjala, intellectual honesty requires that when you quote something, you quote it fully, not selectively. If you read that whole paragraph, you will have found that the answer you are looking for lies there. And it doesn't require the ruling of the Speaker. The committee says, the committee noted that at the time of the hearing, the nominee was 61 years old. Article 245 of the Constitution does not prescribe an age limit for the Inspector General. Further, Section 76 of the National Police Service Act, Cap 84, excludes the Inspector General from the retirement age of 60 years. So if you read that paragraph in full, you could have had the answer that you are looking for. So that is called intellectual inexactitude. I'll give to McClap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the problem of my good brother is Wanjala is not always available on time because this matter was debated in the morning and concluded.
Don't debate Wanjala, debate the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Number one is that the committee chaired by Honorable Tongoyo did a very good job in a very systematic and summarized manner for everyone to be able to debate on this matter. So I want to congratulate the committee for doing a good job. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, you know I come from a region, the North Rift, where banditry has been a problem. When I came to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, I asked whom do I go and see in the police force, in the police service, who can assist my people. Mr. Speaker, I was told of one Douglas Kanja. And when reaching his office, Mr. Speaker, I got a first-class treatment that I've never been given a treatment like that by police. The treatment was, this gentleman walked out to me so to come and meet me and took me inside. That is a very humble police person in the country, Mr. Speaker. Number two, the fact that President Kenyatta, Kibaki saw an opportunity, equality in him. He gave him OGW. When Uhuru Kenyatta gave him another presidential honor, and William RUTO gave another presidential honor. So, Speaker, that tells you this is a man that the country can rely on security matters. Mr. Speaker, as I end, what awaits Kanja is digitization of the police services in the country so that to reduce the issues of corruption. Two, protect the NBRs in the country so that they are protected just like the other police. Three, let him go in record as the IG in Kenya.
As Tongoyo, you can now reply. The time I allocated is over. Yes, Wanjala, what is it again? You look restless.
Please, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, recently this country was going almost to a revolution. And one of the issues, Gen Zs said, they don't want people holding those offices, government, civil servant offices, who are above 60 years.
Order, Angela. This House operates on the basis of the Constitution. Order. Honorable Angela, you're out of order. Tongoyo.
Give me the mic. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And before I reply, I have got only about one or two things to add. Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to really sincerely thank all members of this House from both sides of the House for debating this motion with objectivity and for the overwhelming support that actually they have given to this motion. Honorable Speaker, it is important to note that from almost 30 plus members of this House who have contributed to this motion, all of them, they have given their own personal testimonies of the person, Mr. Kanja, of a person who is always ready to listen, a person who is a team player, a person, of course, who is committed to the service, and with no doubt, Mr. Douglas Kanja is a man that we can trust to bring the needed reform in the police service. Mr. Speaker, actually that should be also a rallying, a call to all of us as leaders, that when we give an opportunity to serve, we should always do it diligently with a lot of zeal. So when a time comes for scrutiny, there will be too much good to be said about us and the accolades to be said of what we have done during our time of serving the country. Mr. Speaker, two critical things that came up. One, you have actually managed to address, I don't want to say it, on the issue of the age. Of course, it was raised earlier by our very senior member there, and of course by Wanjala. I don't want to repeat it, you have said it very well. Mr. Speaker, there is the issue, of course, which was raised by Otende, on the issue of temporary absence of the Inspector General. And the Section 16, Cap 80 is also very clear that the President, on recommendation of the Commission, may appoint one of the Deputy Inspector General to act as the Inspector General for the period not exceeding 3 months. So I think that confirmed that the position of the acting IG is in order. With this, Mr. Speaker, I want to call this House to approve the appointment of one Mr. Kanja for this position, and I reply, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
Order, honorable members. Order, Kagusha. Take your seat. Honorable members, I now put the question. which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs and the Senate Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho for approval as the Inspector General of the National Police Service, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 17th September 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 245(2)(a) of the Constitution and Section 12(1) of the National Police Service Act, Cap 84, and Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho as the Inspector General of the National Police Service. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? No. The ayes have it. Honorable members, we'll go back to order number 7, where today we have the Minister for Education in the House, Mr. Ogamba. So CS, it's now your opportunity to respond to issues that you must be fully familiar with. This House held a Kamkunji on Tuesday, 20th August 2024, and matters that arose from there required and necessitated the House to invite you to come and speak to the issues as listed out on the order paper which you are familiar with. I now give you the opportunity. Thereafter, members will have an opportunity to ask you questions, both on the statement you are going to give and any other matters within your jurisdiction in the Ministry of Education. You may take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable members. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity before I start to introduce the team that I'm accompanied with for purposes of record. I'm accompanied by the PS TVET in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Esther Moria, the PS Basic Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang, the PS Higher Education, Madam Beatrice Inyangala. I'm also accompanied by Professor Daniel Mugendi, the chair of all VCs, the vice chancellors of the universities in Kenya, public universities, and the CEO of the University Fund, Geoffrey Monari, together with my technical advisor, Joshua Wabwire. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to first and foremost thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in this August House, specifically about the student-centered funding model, which is new in this country, and any other issues that relate to that model and in the education sector. Mr. Speaker, I also thank you for the Kamkunji you hosted on the 20th of August 2024, together with other honorable members that arose out of the concerns surrounding the new funding model. Mr. Speaker, we benefited from you and from the members' concerns and perspectives, and we have since taken action towards the proper rolling out of the model in a seamless and sensitive to the stakeholders' concerns. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for favoring us with a copy of the answered, which indicated or stipulated the issues that were of concern. Mr. Speaker, I wish to indicate that a day after the Kamkunji on the 21st of August 2024, we did implement your directive and requested all the vice chancellors in the country, in the public universities, to admit all the university students who had applied and admitted to those universities without paying their household contribution, as we sorted out the issues that were surrounding the funding model. Mr. Speaker, a total of 124,364 students out of the 538 students that were placed have since reported to their respective universities. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note that the number of students who have since paid their household contribution out of the 124 plus students are 75,000, which is almost above 60%. Mr. Speaker, the first question that we need to address, or we are requested to respond to, relates to us expounding on the application of the funding model for public universities and TVETs, including the criteria for ensuring that the analysis and categorization of beneficiaries into the 5 bands does not disadvantage the very needy students that it is supposed to support. Mr. Speaker, and as honorable members are aware, the student-centered funding model was launched by His Excellency, the President, in May 2023. It was first applied in the 2023-2024 academic year, and it is now in its second year of implementation. Mr. Speaker, the model was introduced on the recommendation of the Presidential Working Party on education reform that was set up and that concluded its report last year. The model is designed, Mr. Speaker, to provide funding to students based on their level of need. This was targeted at achieving equity and inclusivity to enhance access to higher education, regardless of one's socioeconomic background. Mr. Speaker, once a student is placed to a university by the Kenya University Central Placement Service, they lodge an application for funding through the Higher Education Portal. Students placed in public universities can apply for both scholarships and loans, and students placed on private universities are eligible only for loans. The student-centered model, Mr. Speaker, has 5 bands, and these are set out based on the household income groups and the level of need. The household income groups represent broad household weighted income brackets that are as follows. Band number 1 is the group whose household income is below 5,995 shillings per month. Band number 2 falls on households whose income per month is between 5,995 and 70,000 shillings. Band number 23,000, the second band 2 is between 5,995 to 23,670. Band 3 is from 23,671 to 70,000. Band 4, 70,001 to 119,999. And band 5 are households whose income is above 120,000. Mr. Speaker, based on the 5 bands, there is also affirmative action that is considered during the banding. Now, under table number 1 that I have here and to which I forwarded a letter to you, scholarship, university bands on table number 1, band 1, the amount of scholarship is 70%, the loan is 25%, and the household contribution is 5%. So I'll just, so that I save time, I'll just read the household contribution for band number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Band number 1 contributes 5%, band number 2 contributes 10%, band number 3 contributes 20%, band number 4 contributes 30%, and band number 5 contributes 40%. The rest is contributed by the government. On the scholarships, band number 1 gets 70%, band number 2 gets 60% for TVETs, band number 3 gets 50%, band number 4 gets 40%, and band number 5 gets 50%. To determine, Mr. Speaker, the student's level of need, in order to give the categorization, there was use of a product called the means testing instrument. Now, the means testing instrument was designed to utilize data provided by students to determine their level of need. The data was then validated through other government agencies and systems. The application system is integrated in other government databases that include the Universities and College Central Placement Service, the Integrated Population Registration System, the National Education Management Information System, NEMIS, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the Higher Education Loans Board, the Registrar of Births and Deaths, the National Social Protection Scheme, National Council of Persons with Disabilities, and the Kenya Revenue Authority. This integration helped to validate the information provided by various students in order to ensure that they are banded in the right band. This targeted approach, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, ensures that students who face the most significant financial challenges receive the greatest support to complete their education. Madam Speaker, since the rollout of the student-centered funding model, there have been improvements carried out to ensure that it accurately determines the student's level of need and that no needy student is disadvantaged. The improvements have been formed by engagement with stakeholders, including honorable members of parliament through that Kamkunji. On account of these engagements, for example, Madam Speaker, the means testing instrument has been enhanced to capture broader socioeconomic factors and therefore improve the accuracy of the categorization. These extra additional socioeconomic factors include the number of children in primary and secondary school in a household. They also include the parents' highest educational level. It also includes the agricultural priority programs, and I'll come to explain that a little bit later. It includes areas where, for example, parents are known. So the categorization has been expanded in order to ensure that as we categorize the students into bands, the outcome places them as close as possible to their realities. These improvements, Mr. Speaker, have seen a change in categorization across the various bands, even as students also have been sensitized to provide more accurate information that are detailed. A comparison of their categorization between the year 2023, 2024, and the 2024-2025 has actually confirmed from the figures that the band 1, band 2, and band 3 have more students this year than they had the last year. And band 5 and band 4 and 5 have lesser students than they had last year. So it has tilted because of the improvement of the categorization. The other mechanisms that have also been placed in place ensure that the very needy students are not disadvantaged is the appeals mechanism. We came up with an appeals mechanism that allows students to get into the appeals portal, and if their circumstances have changed, they would put in the new information and they would then be recategorized. This is because we acknowledge that financial circumstances of students and parents do change, and therefore, once they change, the student banding also changes. For example, if a parent has lost a job, the student would go into the portal and indicate that although my father or mother was working last year, they are not working this year and I do not have the income we had last year, so it has shifted and therefore their circumstances have changed. We have also noted and acknowledged that internet access and connectivity has various disadvantages to various students, and students who come from poor backgrounds may not have access to the internet. To cure this, we have set up desks in each and every university from the university funding team so that the students can be assisted to put in their data in the universities where they've been admitted to, so that they are not disadvantaged. Mr. Speaker, the second question requires us to set measures that were put in place to simplify the model and enlighten the general public about it. As you rightly noted during the Kamkunji, the public was not well informed about the student-centered funding model, and we agreed with you that we need to put more energy in communication to the public. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, we've taken a number of measures, and firstly, we've noted the salient concern that has been raised by stakeholders, especially the students themselves, on their involvement in decision-making around the funding model. In this regard, His Excellency the President has constituted the National Working Committee on Review of the new University Education Funding Model to refine the funding model in order to optimize its functioning. The Gazette notice has been released and it is attached, and this is part of the broader effort to ensure that stakeholders understand the model and they contribute to enhancing it. The other measures that we've taken, Mr. Speaker, include public sensitization. We've rolled out a number of public sensitization campaigns across the country through the radio, the print media, public forums, etc., etc. We have also gone into digital resource for easy access, where, as a ministry, we have invested in digital resources to simplify access through the funding model that is in the portal. We have also done stakeholder engagement and collaboration. We've rolled out YouTube demonstrations and social media campaigns where demonstrations are given step by step on how to apply for scholarships and to apply for loans under this funding model. We've also done social media campaigns through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, including short video clips showing answers to the frequently asked questions. Mr. Speaker, we have also included simplification application process through automation, where we've stipulated the various steps on how an applicant can check their eligibility and submit their documents online. We have also created, Mr. Speaker, helplines where we have continuous feedback so that we can respond to them. They are on 24/7 basis so that we can be able to respond to the challenges or the questions and concerns that the students have. We have done regional outreach, both on sites and off sites, through Huduma centers and other support systems. We've done timely updates and transparent disbursements of the amounts that are due to the students. And Mr. Speaker, we will continue to engage the public and continue discussing with them and informing them how this model works so that the public are informed. Mr. Speaker, the third question requires us to provide the approximate cost of education of an individual from the basic education level to the tertiary level. Mr. Speaker, the cost of an individual student from basic to tertiary levels depends on a number of variables, such as whether the learner has special needs, the type of schools attended, whether it's a day school or a boarding school, the gender, and the type of tertiary education received. That's whether it is through TVET or university. The current rates, Mr. Speaker, for capitation are as follows. For primary, we have 1,420 per learner per year. For secondary, that is junior school, we have 15,042 per learner per year, and for secondary, we have 22,244 per learner per year. Mr. Speaker, these rates were considered by the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms, and they recommended that the rates be revised to reflect the actual costs of education. Therefore, the figures provided above are the ones, the figures that I'm going to read below are the ones that were recommended by the Working Party. For pre-primary, it was recommended that the figure be enhanced to 5,384 per year for lunch and 1,170 per year for tuition. That brings the cost per year to about 18,828 for PP1 and PP2. But if the learner has special needs, the figure increases to 19,636. For primary school, the figure that has been recommended is 2,238 per year for tuition and 5,384 for lunch. The total cost, therefore, per learner in a regular day primary school for 6 years is 45,732. In boarding schools, the cost increases because of the cost of dinner, that is 5,594, resulting in 79,296 shillings per year. If the learner has special needs, this figure increases, and the total is 101.40 shillings for the entire primary school period. For junior school, the annual cost of tuition in regular school is estimated at 15,043 per learner. The cost for lunch is 5,384. This totals 61,281 for the 3 years in a regular day junior school. If the learner has special needs, you add 10,000, it goes up by 10,000, and therefore goes to 91,281 per year. In secondary schools, there is a table that I have, and Mr. Speaker, allow me to just indicate that we have a different figure for female students and male students because the female students in the kit that they get is slightly higher than the male students. So for female students in National Extra County School, the figure is 481,915 for the 4 years. But if you have special needs, the figure is 621,915. For males, the figure works out to 472,232. But if you have special need, it becomes 612,232. If you're in boarding school for females, the figure is 429,839, but if you have special needs, it is 569,839. And male in boarding schools, the figure is 420,156, and if you have special needs, it is 560,156. At this point, Mr. Speaker, let me note that 70% of our students are in day schools, with boarding secondary schools accounting for only 30% of the student population. For learners with special needs, Mr. Speaker, the capitation is enhanced by 35,000 per learner per year, with a total capitation of 230,108 per learner over the 4 years. For learners in day secondary schools, the approximate cost per learner per year is 22,527 for tuition, 11,000 for lunch, and this totals to 134,108. The 11,000 for lunch in these schools, however, is a special arrangement between the schools and the parents, and it's not a capitation. For tertiary education, Mr. Speaker, the average cost of education and training in technical and vocational education and training institutions is 125,789 per annum, comprising tuition of 67,189 and assessment of 15,000, upkeep of 18,600, and administration costs of 25,000. In universities, the annual programs cost range from 122,400 for arts programs to 612,000 per year for programs in medicine. The average upkeep costs per year for students in the university is 60,000 per student. Mr. Speaker, the figures for secondary school that we have indicated are between the fees for day secondary schools, the lowest, that's the lowest figure, and national extra secondary schools have the highest figures. So, Mr. Speaker, the figures for universities and TVET are inclusive of upkeep and subsistence costs. The most expensive program is Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, actually Bachelor of Medicine and Dental Surgery, which is 612,000. And the least expensive program is Bachelor of Arts at 122,400. Mr. Speaker, the fourth question requires us to state the amount that goes towards education bursaries and scholarships every year. I wish to clarify, Mr. Speaker, that the government is required to provide capitation to public basic education institutions every year at the approved rate of 1,420 per learner per year in primary schools, 15,042 per learner per year in junior school, and 22,244 per learner per year in secondary school. The total provision depends on the enrollment, and the requirements that have been provided has a deficit over the last 3 financial years, and I have a table there to show, for instance, in the financial year 2022 to 2023, the requirement was 11,815 million. But what was budgeted was 11,800